Pathmark is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmark.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Drew Hawkins, Director of Digital Marketing with Womble Bond Dickinson. How are you doing today, Drew?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on, giving us the opportunity to be on today's episode. And well, let's kick it off, right? I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Womble Bond and Dickinson, no ampersand in there. But let's go on what you came for. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah. So Womble Bond Dickinson, we're a global law firm, have over 1,000 attorneys. We, from what we specialize in, we do a little bit of everything. You know, we have at least over 100 different practice group sector service pages. So if you were to go to our website, go to services, there is a laundry list of capabilities that we have. So we have a good breadth of what we do. There are areas we probably focus on a little bit more than others in certain seasons, but we do everything from IP litigation, financial services. We're expanding our global capabilities as well. It's a lot. There's not a real good elevator pitch for what we do.
Definitely. And well, I mean, talking about maybe an elevator pitch is there, so that way our listeners could get a good understanding of Womble Bond Dickinson. Is there a key problem that you guys like to solve for clients? What would you say on that?
Again, it's so varied, right? It depends on the client and the need. So I would say one thing that it's been a few years, but the easiest solution for me might be during the COVID years, right? That's about when I started at the firm. So the problem we might be solving for clients in that instance, and especially in that first 6 months during the pandemic, would be employment law. When do you have people return to the office? When do you not? So one thing our team had to do is have a return to office interactive map stood up. What are the laws state by state on what you could do? On the other hand, we have real estate attorneys, so the pandemic, nobody going to the office, that makes things complicated for people that own corporate real estate offices, right? And so we help people with that, and then from a more recent perspective, we have a pretty big IP litigation team. We have some great thought leaders in the technology, data privacy space, artificial intelligence. So, if clients are thinking about, okay, how does AI impact what I do from an intellectual property perspective? How do I trademark things? The stuff like that, like trying to help clients see around the corner from a legal perspective is a big part of what we do.
Definitely. And I think that was one of my follow-up questions, right? Is there a vertical segment that you guys have, but it changes over the years, right? I mean, like you mentioned in 2020, when the COVID was happening, it was all about employment. Right now, it's more about IP and litigation. But in the years that you've been there, is there one that really tops over year on what sector or service that you guys like to go for?
One area I feel like from a sector perspective, because services kind of cut across all different sectors, right? But from a sector perspective, energy has been a big thing for us because it's a big thing globally, right? Like how do companies help navigate energy transition? So some of that might be with specific energy companies, oil and gas companies and that kind of thing, but not just limited to that. You're looking at other corporations or financial institutions that are looking at how can they do more around ESG, how can they lower their carbon footprint, or even from an investing strategy perspective, energy transition is a big investment opportunity. So how can we take advantage of that as a financial institution and that kind of thing? So it has a lot of different pathways it can go down. So energy recently has been a bigger one.
Definitely. All right. Awesome. And well talking about the companies here. I mean, if there would be an AI company or a technology company looking for some litigation, how do they usually find out about the company, about the law firm? Is there a top line acquisition channel for you guys?
A whole manner of ways, right? So, with a law firm, especially the size of ours, we don't have that traditional kind of inbound BDR type of approach. You know, like, okay, we have the marketing got the lead. Now we're going to pass it off to sales and work together. We really don't have that type of setup. So the way people will find us is through a few different ways. You know, organic search is a big driver of traffic, inbound leads for us there. Events are a big thing, and it's a big thing in legal marketing in general. So an event might be, you know, just a client dinner, or it could be like a panel discussion around a certain topic. During the pandemic, our events team was extremely busy. I think they hosted 80, 90 different webinars just in 2020, right? So they had their hands full. And that was a big lead gen for us. And then the other part of it is just our individual attorneys, right? So we try to empower them from an advocacy perspective on social. How are they building relationships? And then we have some tools within our MarTech stack that helps analyze, you know, who has the strongest relationship at different companies. Oh, we're seeing a lot of interest from company A on this sector via some of the ABM tools that we have. Who at this company do we know best that should reach out to them? So there is some referral there, personal relationships. And the one thing that's kind of tricky there is because some of our attorneys have been around a long time, the firm's been around a long time, you know, from an inbound, like open opportunity perspective, it's hard to track because some of the matters we might open up is just a client reaching out to one of the attorneys saying, hey, I need help with this. Okay, great. Matter's open, you know, so there's no like funnel process to track. So it's very tricky. It can get very, very complicated at times to prove the marketing value, but keep working on it every day.
Yep, I would agree. And so that way our listeners could go ahead and visit you guys. You could always check them out. And I believe there's two websites, right? One is womblebonddickinson.com /UK, and then the US one?
Yeah, depending on where you're at, it'll just dynamically send you to where you need to go.
Perfect. And as far as the website then, Drew, is there, what would you say that the website plays as a role as a client acquisition? Does it affect you guys? Does it help you guys? Or what would you say the website plays as a role there?
A very significant role. And I think not so much from the sector service perspective. At the end of the day, yeah, we have expertise, and we have people that can help you in IP. We have people that can help you in energy. We have people that can help you, healthcare, whatever that is, right? But the attorneys are the main driver. So a good chunk of our traffic, and this isn't just for Womble. I mean, this is kind of a legal industry standard. A lot of the traffic's coming through the profile pages. So we're selling the people, our attorneys are the product at the end of the day. So making sure that they're front and visible is really important to us. And then we started more intentionally in the last few years leading with thought leadership. So we've redesigned our insights portal. How do we use thought leadership to tee our attorneys up as experts? And then a few members of our digital team help train those attorneys to be, how do you okay, you spoke at this event last week. How do we take advantage of that? Do we need to write some content around that? The attorney needs to be posting about that. What do we post on about it on the company page, that kind of thing. So how do we take these one little things and make them stand out? So, and then the sector service page is like, okay, what services do you guys offer? What sectors do you guys work in? Those are important too. We just did a big redesign of those last summer, and we're in a project right now with doing a complete content overhaul on all of those pages, which I think it's like 160 or something like that pages. So it takes a little bit because you got to get attorney sign off on every single one of those. It's a bit of a process, but I would say those three areas are kind of where we drive the most of our organic traffic.
Perfect. Awesome. And I mean, as you mentioned, right? Would there be another tip, tools, or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
I would say tools, tips. I don't want to get too heavy in the weeds on tools. I think we use a pretty big combination of tools on our site. I would pay attention to, I mean, this sounds rudimentary, but pay attention to your Google Analytics, pay attention to what people are doing. If you haven't done it, little simple things like, okay, what do you want to track on your website? How do you have the tag manager set up? What events actually matter to you? And then recalibrating that. Like we just went through that exercise at the end of the year where we had certain activities marked as conversions. We took a look back and said, hey, this isn't as valuable as we thought it might be. We're going to take this off as a conversion moving forward. So we're really paying attention to those little detailing things that aren't as attractive to talk about, like at a conference or presentation or something like that, but they're really important nitty-gritty things. From a lead generation perspective, we use I'm a big fan of like progressive profile, and we use Pardot. And so what we do from a lead gen, outside of an event invite where we need to know a lot about somebody for them to attend the event, just to make their event experience good, we just try to ask for one piece of information at a time. So at the end of our insights pieces, that insight piece might be linked to, hey, if you want to get all of our insights about technology, you want to get all of our insights about the TCPA litigation, like stuff like that, we can get one piece of data from people at a time, because they're going to be more willing to provide, hey, I just need your email address and your last name, and that's it. They came back, oh, we actually know this about you. You want to get this blog? You want to sign up for this insight thing? Okay, great. Just give us your first name, or just give us your title or whatever. So getting those little pieces piece by piece means you got to keep bringing the same people back. You want a lot of return visitors, but the more they're coming to you, the more they're going to trust you. And if you're not asking for the moon, they're more likely to give up little pieces of information.
Definitely. Thanks so much for that. Great advice there. And well, let's switch gears a little bit, Drew, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the director of digital marketing there for Womble Bond Dickinson, what are some key tasks you focus on your day-to-day work?
It really depends on the week. So our team spans the gamut of CRM, digital, social, email marketing automation, and ABM. So my week to week, my role, I explained it to, I report in our CMO, and I explained to her, is kind of plate spinning. If you've seen those guys, start getting a plate spin, they let it sit. Okay, this is good. I'm going to go work on this one now. Okay, this one's good and spinning. I'm going to go to this one, and so that's kind of what my role is day to day. So some weeks I might be talking a lot with our BD team and what practice groups are they working with? What priorities do they have? How can our team support them on that? And then we might have a few weeks where I'm very embedded with our content team, and we might be those times where we have a big campaign coming up, and our content team will say, hey, these attorneys have written these articles or these thought pieces or whatever that looks like. And then I'll work with our digital team, say, okay, here's what we have. How can we best get this out there? What are some creative ways we can extend the shelf life of this particular article that this person's written, and so on. And then CRM. So I might be working with our BI team a lot one week too, on just data hygiene. Are we tracking contacts the correct way? Are we doing conversions within our Salesforce system from lead to contact correctly, and that kind of thing? So it's a little bit all over the place. There's not a real clean answer for me on that.
Definitely. It sounds like you have a full plate on your hands, switching hats at points notice. So, I mean, that's part of being marketer, right? Always seeing where everything needs to fit. So kudos to you for that. And well, let's jump into our next section here, Drew, which is our rapid fire question round. You
Sure.
ready for them?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. First off, Drew, what is the last book that you read?
Last book that I read, I'm almost done with this. I'm going to count it. It's called Traffic by Ben Smith. It's the former editor-in-chief of BuzzFeed, and he talks about kind of the history of the internet, your Huffington Post, before BuzzFeed got started, Gizmodo, all that, and those founders and how those came about. And it's pretty interesting. Highly recommend it.
All right. Perfect. There you guys heard for our listeners, Traffic by Ben Smith. All right. Next is, what is one single thing that the firm is focused on at the moment the most?
That is a hard question. I would say I'll speak from the marketing perspective, and that is our brand refresh.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Next is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, Drew, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer?
I would say technology has no bounds, attribution that is accurate. Without being creepy. As a human, I'm glad there's limitations there, because I don't want to get followed around any more than we already are. But as a marketer, you might have attribution software that's over-indexing on one thing, but I don't know that they heard a podcast ad that we sponsored or this billboard. Like, what collection of brand interactions actually did someone have that you just can't always put like a number behind, right? Like, we can do a lot now. But you might have Google as a traffic referral, as like a last touch attribution. Like, no, they did like 50 things before they signed on that form, right? They just happened to, oh yeah, I know who Womble is. How do I get to the contact information? They just Googled Womble contact and went there, and that's what the attribution source is, right? So that's what I would want.
Definitely right. Putting that pin on exactly where they came from, so you could focus more marketing efforts on. It's going to get a little bit tougher, right? Google moving away from a cookieless world. We'll see how we end up on next year. All right. And next, Drew, is if there was one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. One repetitive task that I could automate. I'm trying to think of a repetitive task that
I mean, you might have everything already automated, right? I mean, if maybe there's something that's still is still there.
I think I'll speak for my team. We have to publish a lot of content in our website, and with that comes email versions of that too. So I would say if there's a way that some attorneys send us a Word doc saying, hey, I need this go up on the website, that we could just like pop it up and it gets neatly formatted in every single channel without issue.
Definitely. All right. I'll send you hear that.
Yeah.
And well, Drew, lastly, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
I would say be patient, right? There's a lot of change in marketing. I think there is a temptation to, and especially early on in my career, to chase shiny objects. And there is some value in that in the short term, to be kind of that expert on here's the next thing. But, 8 out of those 10 next things don't last beyond a year, right? So be patient. Don't over-index in the shiny thing. Learn your fundamentals, and just know you're playing the long game. And that's advice I got from a mentor too. I was facing a job decision. He brought me back down to earth and said, "Hey, you're going to be working for a really long time, so like don't stress out over this." And it was great advice. I always remember that whenever I get a little antsy about something.
Definitely, and some great advice for everybody out there. But thanks for that, Drew. And well, Drew, we're coming to the end of the show today, but I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about the company, about the firm?
One thing they should remember about the firm is we have a wide breadth of capability, been around a long time. Oh, those are 2 things. I'm so sorry. But we stand up to any of the big firms.
There, you guys heard it. You could always visit them at womblebonddickinson.com. Drew, thank you so much for being on. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Path Monk Presents. Thanks a lot, Drew.
Cool. Thank you.